I want to bring in Senator Mark Warner, Democrat from Virginia. I'm sure you had a chance to listen to Hazel. She is the survivor of an abusive relationship. She has a 7-year-old son. And I wonder what you say to her, to the millions of people like Hazel who find themselves in a situation they've never thought they'd be in their lives, and they don't understand why those of you in Congress can't fix it, Senator.
Well, Hazel, whether it's Hazel in Maine or Virginians that I saw this weekend, this shutdown is hurting families. And what just kind of blows me away, literally 1 out of every 8 Americans rely on food assistance. And this administration knew these funds were there. They could have said last week, we're not going to put people through the mental, emotional, and every other kind of stress, and do what they'd actually proposed in their first Trump shutdown. And it's heartbreaking. There's a level of cruelty and chaos here that it's just unprecedented. Now, that being said, I think the president, after running all around the world, needs to get in the damn room and spend an hour with Democrats, and let's get the government open. Let's get people SNAP benefits. Let's avoid what Hazel, I imagine, I don't know how Hazel gets her health care, but I bet you if she's getting health care through some of the Obamacare stuff, her health care costs are going to go up dramatically as well. I mean, we're the wealthiest country in the world. We shouldn't have 1 out of 8 of Americans potentially now going hungry and also seeing their health care costs double or triple. We are a better people than this. And this has gone on too long. And I don't know whether this president has any empathy at all. But if he get in the damn room, both sides will have to compromise. But let's get the government open, get these benefits going, and not have this health care cliff come.
You've earned a reputation as a bipartisan negotiator, and I know you said that you believe that the shutdown could end this week, now that President Trump is back in the U.S. But I want to play for you, maybe you've heard it already, what he said for 60 Minutes.
You're saying your plan is to tell the Democrats to vote to end the shutdown.
Correct. Very simple.
And that you will put forward a health care plan?
No, we will work on fixing the bad health care that we have here.
But where is that
plan? And I'd be willing to work with the Democrats on it.
So he says he's willing to work with Democrats, but does that sound like someone who's really ready to go into a room and negotiate? And if not, then what? What do Democrats do for folks like Hazel and the folks you've talked to in your state?
Yeah. Well, Chris, obviously, if Donald Trump had any notions about a health care plan, he would have brought it out when he tried to kill the ACA years ago. And the thing that Chris just, it's hard. It's so hard is the only way you get a compromise, and I've been in every one of these bipartisan gangs, is if those members are both willing to slightly piss off their own team. And my Republican friends have candidly, for the most part, acknowledged to me they can't do anything. They can't move any bulk of members the way we've done in these past, or it was the infrastructure bill, the CHIPS bill, unless they get full sign-off from Donald Trump. I don't know what is, I know for your viewers, this will make folks mad. I want there to be a strong center-right Republican Party, but one based in principle, not a group of Trump sycophants. So that's why I've said, I hope the bipartisan talks move forward, but we got to get Trump's sign-off. And now this was the guy that was supposed to put America first. We'll put America first and resolve this. I don't think it will take more than an hour.
Maybe I'm misreading how I hear you. And Senator, I've been following you and talking to you for a very long time. You sound emotional about this, whether it is about SNAP, whether it's about health care. Can you tell me, is that motivated by the conversations you had this weekend? What did people... We are back with some breaking news. The Trump administration has now told a federal court how the U.S. Department of Agriculture plans to partially pay for SNAP food benefits this month. The funding expired on Saturday. MSNBC's Fallon Gallagher has been following this. On Friday, we talked a lot about what was going on in Massachusetts, but this 8-page response, as I understand it from the USDA to the Rhode Island State Council versus the Rhode Island State Council of Churches is about Rhode Island. Tell us what this says.
Yeah, Chris, so this ruling is actually more important than that Boston case that we've been talking about last week. So on Friday, you'll remember a federal judge in Rhode Island ruled that the Trump administration has to pay these SNAP benefits. Now, that judge gave the administration until today at noon to say whether they were going to pay the full benefits using the partial benefits using the contingency funds, or pay full benefits using additional funds to supplement that contingency fund. Regardless, the judge said you have to pay using those contingency funds. So we just heard now at that noon deadline from the federal government saying we are going to pay with the contingency funds to cover partial SNAP benefits beginning today. So now they'll begin that process trying to figure out how they're going to pay partially to cover SNAP for the month of November. That means that these people probably won't get their benefits today. That means that the federal government will start the process of sending out these calculations of how much each state is going to get for these partial benefits today. And it's probably going to be a lapse of a couple of days before real people are actually getting these benefits. But this is something that the federal government was really concerned over last week. Specifically in that Boston hearing, when I was in court, they were making the case that it would be, quote, catastrophic if they had to do this, because they were concerned about how they would do the math to figure out exactly how much each state gets, where it goes. Remember, this has never been done before. SNAP benefits have never been suspended before during a shutdown, including the one during the president's first administration. So we are kind of in uncharted territory, but a judge is saying you have to start doing this, and the federal government has said we are going to comply and we will start doing these partial benefits today. Chris?
All right, thanks. Tell you.
You know, I still hear it's kind of remarkable the number of people that I saw voters waiting in line to vote. We got a very important gubernatorial election, as everybody knows, tomorrow. But people saying, keep fighting, but I don't. And some of them are federal workers. But I'm also seeing, folks like Hazel. I got staff members who've gone now without a second paycheck, and many of them, they help support their own family members. This is just a level of cruelty that wouldn't have expected from America. And I go back again. Donald Trump didn't run around the world a couple times during his first shutdown. He took the job seriously enough to say, okay, let's try to work something out. And listen, if I got to push the Democrats to make a compromise, but there are millions upon millions of Hazels everywhere across the country who are wondering how they're going to make ends meet. There are millions who are saying how they're going to meet their health care costs. And there are maybe more in my state than most, but federal workers who've now gone into their savings. A number of people were saying, late 50s, early 60s. I talked over the weekend saying, I've been saving for retirement for years. I got to go into my savings now to put food on the table. Reasonable people can differ, but if we can't get to yes on this, we got to get this done. And
can you see, Senator, in your head realistically, and I know you're a realist, and again, I said it 5 minutes ago, you're somebody who has been in the room to try to push compromise, to successfully push compromise. Do you see a compromise that's possible here?
Yes. Yes, I do. I mean, there are lots of conversations going on. I think people of goodwill just got to put this down, get a vote, listen. And chances are it's not going to be, and that's the nature of a compromise. Neither side is going to get everything they've demanded going into this fight. But, the American people realize who caused this shutdown. The American people kind of get all into this process junk, but they know Trump controls the White House, Republicans control the House, Republicans control the Senate. They know the president been running around the world going after a Nobel Prize, not focusing on this issue. And they've now seen the reality of these healthcare costs go up as of this last Saturday. You've got this extra cruelty with the food benefits. And remember, our food banks are already stretched to the brink because of the big ugly bill and the cuts to Medicaid, which they put in, frankly.
The ongoing government shutdown under Donald Trump's leadership as oncheaga in revealed ou political stubbornness can devastate the most vulnerable Americans. As Senator Mark Warner has emphasized, this crisis goes far beyond bureaucratic dysfunction, it exposes cruelty on a national scale. Millions of families like Hatzels, who depend on SNAP benefits and affordable health care, are being forced to fend for themselves while the president refuses to engage in genuine negotiation. Warner's frustration reflects a growing sentiment among lawmakers and citizens alike. Trump's approach to governance prioritizes spectacle and ego over empathy and action. The heart of this shutdown lies in Trump's unwillingness to compromise or take responsibility. Everything must go his way. His leadership demands total control over Congress, over agencies, over every decision. Instead of staying in Washington to lead negotiations, he's been traveling abroad, chasing prize and camera flashes while Americans at home face ungeran uncertainty. Warner points out that nearly on 8 Americans relies on food assistance, a staggering figure in the wealthiest nation in history. It's a sign of a filing system when millions need help to atorcante easily access it. Yet instead of deploying emergency funds to prevent a humanitarian crisis, the Trump administration allowed benefits to lapse, forcing families into panic about their next meal. Only after a court order did they reluctant. This shutdown also reveals how Trump's domination of the Republican Party has paralyzed bipartisan cooperation. Even moderate Republicans admit they can't move without his approval. What was once the GOP, a party of conservative principles and debate, has now morphed into the MAGA party built entirely around loyalty to one man. Warner calls it what it is, a cult of sycophants incapable of independent thought or compromise. The result is legislative paralysis and real human suffering. Federal workers are going without paychecks, dipping into retirement savings just to afford groceries. Families like Hatzels face rising healthcare costs, dwindling food security and mounting fear about the future. Across the country, food banks are overwhelmed, rural hospitals are closing, Americans are losing fight in their government, even judges and legal scholars are questioning with it. Warner's emotional plea for Trump to jet in the damn room captures the absurdity of this moment. A president who refuses to do the most basic part of his job governing. Even as federal courts force his administration to resume partial benefits, the damage is already done. The precedent is set, and the very delay deepens the crisis. This shutdown is not just about budgets or political theater, it's about the moral decay of leadership. Real leadership requires empathy, responsibility and dialogue. Trump's refusal to let through compassion has created an unnecessary humanitarian disaster. His version of America First has reduced governance to self-promotion, leaving families like Hatzels to bear the cost of his failures. Unless Trump begins treating leadership as a service to the people rather than a stage for his ego, the suffering will continue, and America will drift even further from the promise of a government that serves all its citizens. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more updates.